Hello there, welcome back to my channel. I am eager to make my wrap-up videos for several months. I'm going to start with May's wrap-up video, then June's, and then in a few days after the end of the month I will work on July's wrap-up video. And I also want to make a mid-year check-in video to see where I land with my Goodreads goal and whatever stats I've accumulated until now. I will also have other book-related videos after I get all of these done. So to get started, let me tell you what I did in May. I read 32 books, and in those 32 books it came up to about 10,503 pages, and that averaged to 338 pages per day or 328 pages per book. And that's the sum total of what I did in May. Now, with my handy dandy notes, I will tell you what I read. The first book that I read is Taken by Rebecca Zanetti. Taken is book number 1.5, a novella in the Deep Op series. It came out, as I mentioned, April 30th. I gave it 4 stars. The first book in the series is Hidden, and then the next book in the series will be Fallen, and that comes out in September. The next book I read was Seal's Honor by Megan Crane. This was released last November 6th, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Seal's Honor is the first book in the Alpha Force series. Then the next book I read was Sniper's Pride, and that's also by Megan Crane, and it is the second book in the Alpha Force novel series, and I gave that one 4 stars, and that came out May 7th. Then I read a few books by Peggy Earhart, and the first one is Murder, She Knit. Now, Murder, She Knit is a knit and nibble mystery. It's a cozy mystery series, and Murder, She Knit is book number 1, and I gave it 3 stars. I next read by Peggy Earhart, Dyed in the Wool, and this came out last August, and I gave this one 3 stars, and it is the second book in that cozy mystery series. Then I read an Alex Delaware series book for the first time, and that is The Wedding Guest, and that is by Jonathan Kellerman. I gave it 4.5 stars. It is book number 34 in the series. As I mentioned, it's The Wedding Guest. I haven't read any other books in the series, but I do look forward to trying them out in the future when I have some more time. I next read Pray for the Girl by Joseph Souza. This was released on April 30th, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read a couple of books in a new series by Joanne Brown, and actually it's not quite a new series. Let's see, I want to put it in the right order. My notes, I have to check what I have that I prepared for the description box, because the first book is The Amish Suitor, which came out in September, I believe, and that I gave 4 stars, and that is the Amish Spinsters Club series. Then I read The Amish Christmas Cowboy, and that is the second book in the Amish Spinsters Club series, and I gave that one 4 stars. And I believe that one came out in May 22nd. Let's see. Then I read Labyrinth by Catherine Coulter. This was number 23 in the FBI thriller series. I gave it 5 stars. I have read the entire series, so every year I look forward to continuing in the series, and it just gets better and better. Also by Catherine Coulter, by the way, I'm reading the Brit and the FBI series, and I think there's 6 or 7, and I've read those as well. Now, I mentioned a few moments ago that I read a couple of Peggy Earhart books, the Knit and Nibble series. So the next Knit and Nibble series book I read, which is number 3, that cozy mystery series, and that is Knit 1, Die 2, again by Peggy Earhart, and I gave it 3 stars, and it came out on April 30th. Then there was the Amish Spinsters Club series. I just mentioned that I read a couple of those. Well, the third one in that series is the Amish Bachelors Baby, And that again is by Joanne Brown, and I think it came out in February. I loved it and I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Dear Lily by Drew Davies. This was a terrific book. I remember the emotions that I had when I read this book. It came out back in February, but I just got to it in May, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read The East End by Jason Allen, and this I gave 4.5 stars, and it came out May 7th. I read another Amish series, Amish title, and that was The Bishop's Daughter by Patricia Johns, and this came out April 30th, and I gave it 5 stars. Then I read the 5th book in the Detective Lottie Parker series, and that is Tell Nobody by Patricia Gibney. This came out back in October, but I just finally got to it, and I gave it 4 stars. Let's see, Cowboy Rebel. I wanted to check because I have this print arc. This is Cowboy Rebel by Carolyn Brown. I have read the whole series up until now. And Cowboy Rebel is the 4th, I think I said 5, the 4th book in the Longhorn Canyon series. I enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars. I then read Dead End by Rachel Lynch. Now, Dead End is the 3rd book in the Detective Inspector Kelly Porter series. This came out back in October, and I gave it 4 stars. I then read Bitter Edge by Rachel Lynch, which is the 4th book in the Detective Inspector Kelly Porter series, which came out in February, and I also gave that one 4 stars. And then I read the 5th book in that series, which is Bold Lies, another D.I. Kelly Porter book, and I enjoyed that one. It came out May 27th, and I gave that one 5 stars. Then I moved on to Fierce Girl by Emma Talon. Now, Fierce Girl is the 4th book in the Anna Davis series, and I have read the previous 3 titles, and then the 5th title comes out in September, which is called Reckless Girl. I enjoyed this one, and I gave it 5 stars. Okay, I thought I might have had that book, so I had to check. The next book I read was a historical romance, which was The Rogue on Fifth Avenue by Joanna Shoup. Now, Joanna Shoup's book is the 1st book in the Uptown Girls series, and it came out May 28th, and I gave it 5 stars. And a tiny bit of history about The Rogue of Fifth Avenue is there were 3 books previously under what's called the 400 Club series. Well, the Uptown Girls series is an offshoot of that, and so this makes it the 1st book in that series. The next book I read was A Rogue by Night by Kelly Bowen, and I had the print arc for that one. This is The Devils of Dover, number 3, and I did read the first 2 in that series. It was released on May 28th, and I gave it 5 stars. Let's see, okay, I had to check something. I have read The Echo Killing by Christy Doherty, and that came out on March 13th. I got this one from my library, by the way. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and it is the 1st book in the Harper McLean series. And the reason I just checked something is I did read the 2nd book in that series in June, and I'll tell you about that in my next video. But a sneak peek is it was called A Beautiful Corpse by Christy Doherty, and as I mentioned, I read that in June. I then read the 6th book in the Jenny Starling series, and it's a cozy mystery series. It's called The Teatime Mystery by Faith Martin. It was released on May 24th, and I gave it 4 stars. I then read Invisible Girl by Jill Childs, and that was released on May 30th, and I was able to give that one 4 stars. I then read Puppy Love by Lucy Gilmore, which was released on May 28th. It is the 1st book in the Forever Home series by Lucy Gilmore. I loved it, and I gave it 5 stars. The second book in that series is Puppy Christmas, and it will be out in September, but I am reading it next week. I then read a book that was 2 books in one, which was Backlash by Lisa Jackson. The 2 books were Tender Trap and Aftermath. This was released on February 26th. It wasn't, neither book was a favorite, so I gave a combined total of 3 stars for both of those books. The next book I read was Passion on Park Avenue by Lauren Lane, and this was released on May 28th, and I gave this one 4.5 stars. This was the first book in the Central Park Pact series. Since then, I think in June I read the second book, and this month of July I read the third book in the series. Then I read Someone to Honor by Mary Ballog. This is the 6th book in the Westcott series. My notes here said that I gave it 4 stars, but I'm pretty sure I only went 3 or 3.5 stars. It wasn't one of my favorites. It came out July 2nd, and I don't know if I'm going to continue in the series. I then read Midnight in Death by J.D. Robb, which is a novella in the In Death series, so it's book number 7.5. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and I already read the 8th book in the series, which I believe was Conspiracy in Death. And the last book that I read in May was Aisha at Last, and this was by Uzma Jalaluddin. And Aisha at Last was released on June the 4th, and I gave it 5 stars. Now, all the books, the title, the rating, and the Amazon link will be in the description box below. And I put the links because as an Amazon affiliate, if you should buy a book with that link, then I will make a few pennies off that book, but it will not affect your costs at all. It won't affect you. It's just something that I need to mention. All right, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.